Hey, welcome to this deep dive.
Glad to be here.
Today we're exploring something really interesting. The title is Evangelism for Teens, Sharing Your Faith.
That's right. Yeah, we're going to dig into what it means for teenagers specifically to share what they believe.
Mm,
We'll unpack this idea of evangelism, maybe demystify it a bit.
yeah, it can sound a bit formal.
Totally.
Yeah.
And we'll think about why it might even be something you'd want to consider doing.
Exactly. And, look at some really practical ways to go about it without feeling awkward or pressured.
Right. No pressure.
Our goal is really just to unpack these ideas, see what resonates, offer some insights, maybe some encouragement along the way.
Sounds good.
So let's get started. That word, evangelism, when you hear that, what does it actually, mean?
Okay, yeah, let's break that down. It might sound like a complicated church term, maybe.
Yeah, definitely.
But honestly, at its heart, it's super simple. It just means telling people the good news about Jesus.
Good news. And when we say good news, we're not talking about getting an A on a test, right? It's bigger than that.
Oh yeah, much bigger. It's something genuinely positive, something life-changing, or at least that's the belief. For Christians, this good news is all about God's love for everyone, like a really deep love.
Okay.
So much so, they believe, that God sent his son, Jesus, to offer forgiveness and a totally new way to live,
Huh.
a relationship with God.
Okay, so it's think about it this way. If you discover, I don't know, an amazing new band, or maybe find a perfect study app that actually makes homework easier,
Right. What do?
you tell your friends,
What's-
immediately.
Exactly. You want to share it.
Yeah.
Sharing your faith can be a lot like that. You found something you think is valuable, maybe something that brings you real joy or peace, and you naturally want to pass it on.
That's a great way to put it. It takes some of the weirdness out of it.
Mm.
So if you found something, this faith, that brings you hope or purpose, why share it? What's the driver there?
Well, I think it comes back to that sharing idea. If you've experienced something that gives you a real sense of meaning, maybe helps you through tough times,
Yeah.
wouldn't it be natural to want the people you care about, your friends, your family, to have access to that too?
Right. It's like keeping a great secret feels better when you share it.
Totally. Like finding that awesome shortcut to school you mentioned earlier.
Yeah. The 10-minute saver. You definitely tell your friends.
Exactly.
Now, there's this part in the Bible, you hear about it sometimes, Matthew 28, verses 19 and 20, the Great Commission.
The Great Commission.
It says, "Go and make disciples of all nations, teaching them to obey everything I have commanded you." That sounds pretty big. What does that actually mean for a teenager today?
Yeah, that's a really, really important question.
Yeah,
Because go and make disciples can sound kind of daunting, right?
for sure. You need a passport and a megaphone.
Haha, right. But it doesn't mean you suddenly have to become like a preacher on a street corner or anything.
Okay, good.
Think of it more as an encouragement. To share what you believe, yes, but also to help others understand it in a thoughtful way, a respectful way.
So less about converting everyone instantly, more about sharing and helping them understand.
Exactly. In your own life, in your own circle.
Okay, so if someone listening is thinking, all right, maybe I would like to share what's important to me, where do they even start? It can feel like a huge step.
That's a great point. It can feel big,
Uh-huh.
but the absolute best place to begin, I think, is, well, it's inward.
Mm.
Before you even think about talking to anyone else.
Okay.
It's focusing on your own relationship with God. It's like making sure your own phone is charged before you try to make a call,
That makes sense. Gotta have something to share first. So what are some real, everyday ways a teen can actually do that? Strengthen their own faith.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be complicated. Simple things can make a huge difference, like spending some time in prayer, even if it's just a few minutes,
Yeah.
talking to God, listening, whatever that looks like for you, and reading the Bible, even
Yes.
small bits. You don't have to read chapters and chapters.
Yeah.
Just engaging with it, seeing what it says,
Right.
and being part of a community like a church youth group or something similar,
Right.
connecting with others who share those beliefs, learning together. That really helps you figure things out and grow stronger.
So it sounds like it's about really digging into what you believe and why it actually matters to you personally before you try to explain it to anyone else.
Exactly. Take some time to reflect. Why do I believe this? What difference has Jesus actually made in my own life, my own experiences? How does my faith affect, how I see things, the choices I make? When you share from that place, from your own genuine experience,
Yeah.
it just becomes much more authentic,
Yeah.
more real, and honestly, more relatable to other people.
Okay, that feels less like performing and more like just being honest.
Totally.
So, okay, Let's say you've been doing that, focusing inward. Now what? What are some actual practical things you can do in your daily life to share it? It's not like there's a script, right?
Right. Definitely no script. But one of the most powerful ways, and maybe surprising ways, you can share what you believe isn't even by saying anything at first.
Oh, how does that work?
It's through how you live, your actions.
You mean like just being a generally nice person?
Well, yeah, that's part of it, but it's maybe a bit deeper. It's about letting your actions consistently reflect what you say you believe.
Okay. Like what specifically?
Are you consistently kind, honest, respectful? Especially when it's difficult, you know?
Uh-huh. When it's easier not to be.
Exactly. Do you show compassion when people are hurting? Or stand up for someone who's being picked on? People notice that stuff. How you live sends a really strong message, sometimes stronger than words.
That reminds me, there's another verse, isn't there? Matthew 5.1, something about light.
Yeah, exactly. Let your light shine before others, that they may see your good deeds and glorify your Father in heaven.
So living in a way that makes people kind of go, huh, what's different about them? And it points towards God.
Precisely. It's about trying to live by, God's standards, which often means being different in a good way, standing up for what's right without being judgmental about it, showing love and respect to everyone,
Even people you disagree with.
especially people you disagree with sometimes. That really stands out.
Okay, so living it out is huge. But then there are times for words too, right?
Oh, absolutely. Living it out opens doors, but yeah, words are important too.
So what are some like natural ways to bring faith into a conversation without it feeling forced or preachy?
Yeah, good question. One of the simplest ways, I think, is just sharing your own story.
Like a testimony.
Yeah.
Sounds kind of formal again.
It doesn't have to be. It's not necessarily some big, dramatic before and after thing. It could just be talking about how your faith helped you deal with stress during exams,
Okay.
or something you're thankful for because of what you believe, or maybe a time you felt guided or comforted. People connect with real, personal stories, stuff they can relate to.
Yeah, that feels way less intimidating than trying to explain, like, the entire Bible in one go.
Exactly. Keep it simple. Keep it personal. Another thing is just talking about what you're learning.
How so?
Like if you heard something at church or youth group or read something that really made you think,
Mm-hmm.
you can just share that with a friend, casually. Like, hey, I heard something really interesting the other day about handling disagreements,
Hmm.
or whatever it was. It's just sharing something that impacted you.
Like sharing an interesting thought you had.
Yeah.
Okay. What if someone asks you a question directly
Yeah,
about your faith? That can feel like you're suddenly on the spot.
totally. Pop quiz time.
Yeah.
The key is, be honest.
Yeah.
And it's absolutely okay not to have all the answers.
Really? You don't have to be an expert.
Not at all. It's okay to say, that's a great question. I'm still figuring some of that out myself.
Right.
Or, I don't actually know the answer to that, but hey, maybe we could look into it.
Ah, so it's okay to say, I don't know.
It's more than okay. It's authentic. Nobody expects you to be a walking encyclopedia. In fact, being willing to learn with someone can open up even better conversations. It shows humility.
That takes a lot of pressure off.
Yeah.
What about inviting friends to church, youth group, maybe a Christian concert or event? That can feel awkward.
It definitely can feel awkward sometimes, yeah. But try thinking of it less like you're trying to get them saved in that moment,
Right.
and more like you're just extending an invitation to something that's important and hopefully positive in your life.
Right, inviting them to hang out, but just at a different place.
Kinda, yeah.
Yeah.
You're not forcing anything. You're just, hey, this is part of my life. Want to come see what it's like? Sometimes experiencing the community, the music, the vibe,
Mm.
that can be really powerful for someone, more than just hearing about it.
Okay. And what about the digital world? Social media. So much happens there. How can that be used, positively?
Yeah, it's a big space. You can definitely use social media wisely. Share an encouraging thought, maybe a Bible verse that spoke to you,
Mm-hmm.
or even just share about positive experiences you have related to your faith.
Yeah.
Inviting people to online services or events can work too.
But carefully, right, it can backfire.
Oh, absolutely. The key is authenticity and respect. Think before you post. How might this come across? Is it helpful? Is it kind? Don't get drawn into arguments. Just share respectfully.
Good advice. Okay, let's circle back to something you mentioned earlier, the fear factor.
Yeah, it's real.
For a lot of teens, maybe most teens, the idea of actually sharing their faith out loud, it can feel genuinely scary. What are some ways to kind of work through that intimidation?
It is scary. It feels vulnerable, talking about deep beliefs. First thing to remember, totally normal feeling. You're not weird for feeling nervous.
Okay.
And crucially, you are not alone in this. And you don't have to be perfect. You don't have to nail it every time.
That's comforting. So practical steps.
Start small and start safe.
Meaning,
Practice sharing your thoughts or feelings with people you really trust. A super close friend, maybe a parent, a youth leader, someone you know won't judge you. Just get used to putting those thoughts into words in a low-stakes environment.
like practicing before the main event.
Kinda, yeah. Get comfortable with your own voice on the topic. Another huge thing. Pray about it.
Pray for what specifically?
Pray for opportunities. Ask God to open doors, create natural moments where you could share something. And just as importantly, pray for courage.
Ah, the courage to actually walk through the door when it opens.
Exactly. Pray for the chance and pray for the boldness or maybe just the willingness to take it when it comes.
Yeah.
And also, maybe pray for your friends, for their hearts to be open. That changes your perspective too.
I like that combo, opportunity and courage. What else helps overcome the nerves?
Just be yourself.
Is
Seriously. Don't try to put on a religious voice or use big words that don't feel like you.
authenticity again.
Always. People connect with real. If you try to be someone you're not, it usually shows. Just be you. Also, and this is big, remember that sharing faith isn't just about talking.
Right, you mentioned listening earlier.
Yes, listening is huge. Probably more important than talking sometimes.
So pay attention to what the other person is actually saying, what they believe, what they're going through.
100%. Ask genuine questions. Show real interest in their perspective. Try to understand where they're coming from.
Yeah.
There's that great reminder in the book of James, chapter 1, verse 19.
What does it say?
Everyone should be quick to listen, slow to speak. It's such good advice for any conversation, but especially these. Really listen.
Quick to listen, slow to speak. Got it. That's a really helpful mindset. Okay, but what if? What if you do share, you try to listen, and maybe they ask a super tough question you can't answer, or they just flat out disagree, maybe even get defensive? That can feel pretty discouraging.
Oh, it can. It absolutely can feel discouraging. And that will happen sometimes. It's important to be prepared for that mentally.
So expect it.
Well, no, it's a possibility. Not everyone is going to be interested. Not everyone will agree. Some people might have had bad experiences with religion or just have very different beliefs. And that's okay.
So what do you do then? Argue back.
Definitely not the goal. Try your best, and it can be hard to respond with kindness and respect, even if the conversation feels tense or goes nowhere.
Easier said than done sometimes.
Sure. But think of it like planting seeds.
Yeah.
You might share something, have a conversation, and feel like nothing happened.
Yeah.
But you don't always see the results right away. You've planted a thought, maybe shown them a different perspective, shown them kindness in disagreement. You've put something there. What happens next isn't entirely up to you.
So the pressure's not on me to win the conversation or make them believe.
Absolutely not. It's
Yeah.
not about winning arguments. It's about sharing something you believe is good news out of care for the other person and doing it respectfully. And always, always remember why you're doing it in the first place.
Which goes back to,
Goes back to caring. You care about people. You found something, faith in Jesus, that gives you hope, peace, forgiveness, purpose, whatever it is for you. And you want them to have the chance to experience that same love and hope. Keeping that motivation, love, and care front and center really helps when you feel nervous or when conversations get difficult.
right, focus on the why.
Exactly. And one last crucial thing to remember through all of this.
What's that?
You are not doing this alone.
That's huge. That's really important to hear.
It is. Remember that verse we talked about, Matthew 28:20, right after the go and make disciples part?
Yeah.
Jesus says, "And surely I am with you always to the very end of the age." That's a promise.
Okay.
And for Christians, there's the belief in the Holy Spirit that God gives you guidance, wisdom, the right words, the courage when you need it. You're not relying just on your own abilities.
So lean on that.
Yeah, lean on that. Remember that sharing your faith is a journey. It's not a one-time performance. Every little step, every conversation, every act of kindness matters. Be brave, be yourself, trust God, and see what happens.
That's really encouraging. It reframes it, doesn't it? Takes the pressure off needing some perfect outcome. It's more about the process, the small connections, just letting your light shine, like you said, in your own unique way.
Exactly that. It's letting the good news you've experienced become naturally woven in to who you are and how you interact with the world. Simple as that sometimes.
Well, thank you so much. This has been a great deep dive today. We really hope these thoughts have been helpful and maybe given you listening some practical things to chew on.
Yeah, absolutely. We'd encourage you to maybe just take a moment. Think about what stood out to you from our chat today. How might it apply to your own life, your own journey, your own friendships?
Great thought. Thanks so much for listening to this deep dive, everyone. Please do follow our podcast for more conversations like this in the future.
Thanks for tuning in.